Hey guys, welcome to the Wedding Reporter podcast. Today I have a really fun wedding report for you. We're talking to Charlotte Massey and Tom Shellum, and I'm not sure if you know about this, but their wedding welcome party kind of went viral on Instagram. And so if you haven't seen it, we'll post it, but I can't wait to ask them all the questions about it. But first, let's get to their bios. So, Charlotte is an outdoor apparel brand founder and operations and marketing professional. She's always creating something new, from picnics to parties, arts and crafts, and exploring. She's a TEDx speaker and she made the Forbes Under 30 Seattle list. Amazing. And Tom is a product manager and a DJ on the side. He's an all genre DJ and the synth player of Foam Roller Family Band in Seattle. Is that correct?
Check us out on
I
SoundCloud.
love it. I love a synth player. This is so fun. Well, welcome, you guys.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to share more about our wedding and our welcome party.
Yeah, totally. So let's start from the very beginning. Like, how did you guys even meet? And kind of give us a little trajectory on how the relationship started off.
We met on Tinder in the
No
depths of
way.
the pandemic. So our first
Wow.
date was a Zoom call, and we started talking
Whoa.
at work, and then we accidentally talked until like 2 in the morning. And we did that several times in the first week when we were chatting, and had to
Wow.
have complicated conversations with our families and the people we were living with to meet in person for the first time, and basically
Wow.
figured out ways to live together ever since then.
It's weird
Wow.
permission from your roommates to date. That was a strange time in our history.
Yeah, definitely. Especially just with how everything went with quarantining and everything during that time and everyone's comfortability levels and, where all that went. And so that's so great that your roommates agreed to let somebody else in on the party. And don't you love how that works where it's like you get to talking and all of a sudden you're like, wait, it's 2 in the morning? Like, it's just amazing how that works and how you can like connect with somebody like that right off the bat. And so that's so cool that you guys met that way. So that was in 2020. Now take us to your proposal. What was that like?
Well, so it actually ties back to when we met in 2020 because our first date, our first date was just seeing each other in person and figuring out
Yeah.
how it's even possible to do that. And we couldn't stay at either of our houses because the roommate situation and stuff. So we were actually house sitting at my friend's apartment, and we decided to pretend to have a fancy date night where we pretended to go to a 5-star restaurant.
Oh my
So we
gosh,
just
I love this.
cooked a really nice 5-course meal, and then we got
Wow.
dressed in separate rooms in the apartment, and then I went and knocked on her door,
Oh,
and
this is precious.
we
I love
candles
this.
lit and stuff because we would have gone out to a fancy restaurant, but it was COVID.
Right.
That was a really special night, and we both had a lot of fun, half joking, half serious about turning their little dining room into a 5-star restaurant, right? So,
Oh my gosh.
um, so then for the proposal, I asked that friend who still lived in the same apartment if I could use his apartment, and so I said, um, we have to go feed their cat really quick when we were on our way to something else. And I had taken the afternoon off work and snuck over there and set up a whole, like a repeat of the same 5-course dinner.
Oh
And
my gosh.
so we got in there and there was just flowers and candles everywhere and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I love that you kind of recreated that experience that you had from back in quarantine. I think that's so cool and super creative on your part too. Like, I mean, we were all stuck indoors, and for you guys to just like come up with that and like make it something special rather than just like eating a TV dinner on the couch, like I think that's so fun, and that like keeps it interesting too. And so I love that you did that. And what was your response, Charlotte? Of course, like you said yes, but like were you expecting anything? Like was it odd for Tom to be like come back over to this apartment?
It was definitely odd. I
Yeah.
definitely said something. Talked
Yeah.
about going to a concert that night of a band that we liked, and he was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
instead go to this new restaurant I heard of. That's I'm gluten free," and he said it was a
Yeah.
new gluten free restaurant, and I was like,
Oh,
I would
nice.
have heard if there was a new gluten free
Yeah,
restaurant.
you're like, I have tabs on this.
Well, he made it hard for me to pull off the surprise perfectly because of the fact that, I mean, we had talked ahead of time about getting engaged. So, like, she knew it was coming eventually, you know, sometime that summer probably. And she asked me to make sure that she was wearing a cute outfit. So,
Okay.
and I never tell her what to wear. That's not really the
Right.
type of
Right.
there's
Yeah.
no way to like fully communicate you should dress cute without really giving it away, because that's the only thing that she ever told me like to
Yeah.
tell her to dress up for. So I
Yeah.
think when I was like, oh, just make sure you dress cute because it's a good restaurant. Which, by the way, the nicest restaurants in Seattle, you can walk in there in a hoodie. So like that really also gave it away.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I love that you just created your own restaurant experience, and that is like really just the memory for you that'll last a lifetime. That's so cool. Okay, so you guys get engaged. What time was this around? Was it 22 or last year, or when
It
was
was
that?
last year. It was the end of
Last
last
year?
summer.
Okay. Okay, cool. So you guys had about a year to plan your wedding. So what was the wedding planning process like? Like Charlotte, I know you're super creative and everything, and I'm sure that was like a big part of what you did and why you did it. But yeah, take us through that experience of planning.
Yeah, so we knew we wanted to have the wedding in Leavenworth, which is a mountain town in Washington State, and it's where I grew up. So my parents still live there, my brother still lives there, and we kind of already knew the venue that we wanted, but we toured several venues just to be sure. And so the date that we picked was really based on the availability of the venue. And then started booking other vendors based around who was available at that time. We really wanted to maximize the time that we had with our guests because so many people were going to be traveling from out of state and even from out of the country to come to the wedding. And we'd been to a lot of weddings where even when it's a whole weekend of activities, there's not that much time where you're all together. Maybe there's an evening event on Friday and then you regather at 4 p.m. on Saturday for the ceremony, and you only get to talk to the people you're sitting with at dinner, and then everyone's dancing. And so it just goes by really, really quickly. And we wanted to have everyone be on site at the same venue. So that way the entire weekend, there's opportunities for people to get to know each other and interact. And the goal was that by the end of the weekend, people would actually exchange contact information and hang out again, and that we could really bring our communities together. And because we wanted everyone to stay on site, and the venue that we booked is a retreat center that does kind of look like a summer camp, we pretty quickly decided that we wanted to lean into that and have the event be summer camp themed and be able to have a lot of different activities and options for people to connect with other guests who have similar interests.
Yeah, the summer camp theme really just sort of happened. It wasn't like we started with that and worked backwards. We were just designing our perfect wedding, and suddenly we realized we're like, this is basically just adult summer camp, isn't it? And then we just decided to go with that theme for all the decorations to really complete it. But yeah, all along the goal was to have everyone staying together in one area and play games and stuff all weekend. So
Mm-hmm. That's so fun. And you guys definitely achieved that. I love how the theme just kind of came out of like where the venue was and just like what would work in that space. And you're like, summer camp, of course. This totally makes sense. Um, so I saw like in one of your reels, like there were tents outside. What did you have guests like come to camp on site, or were there like different rooms that they could stay in at the retreat center? Like, how did all of that work?
We gave the guests the option. There were suites and then there were shared bunk rooms, and um, those the venue charges for, um, or you can set up a tent anywhere on the premises because it's just like a really big area, for free. So we gave everyone all the options, and we were kind of surprised at the number of people that elected to go the tent route because
Wow.
we were attending a wedding. I don't know. I'd want like a mirror, let
Right.
alone a
Yeah.
whole bathroom, to get ready in. And they could use the bathroom in the lodge and stuff. But
That's good.
we were both like, if we were asked this question, we would definitely just spring for the suite. But yeah, sure enough, some of our friends were like really excited that there was a free option to just stay in a tent.
And that was something that was important to us too. We didn't want attending the wedding to be too cost prohibitive.
Right.
So it was really nice to be able to offer different tiers where you could camp and it was free for housing, or you could stay in the bunk room, or you could share a suite or rent your own suite.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a really good point, Charlotte. I mean, another thing that we did in the interest of not making our wedding too cost prohibitive, um, is we worked really hard to set up a carpool group chat so that like not everyone would need to rent their own car or like pay for a shuttle from the airport or something like that. And we just wanted to make sure, because we know that like doing a wedding in a town that is doesn't have an airport, can
Mm-hmm.
also be hard for people because car rentals are crazy expensive these days. So
And
Oh
we
yeah,
want
there.
to have to be the ones connecting everyone individually. It was much easier if people could post like, my flight gets in at this time. Is anyone arriving at a similar time? And we were really excited because some people used the group chat to coordinate hanging out in Seattle, the
Oh.
city that's closest to the venue, ahead of time. So it was great to
Mm-hmm.
see that people were really taking opportunities to connect, which was our whole goal.
yeah, I know like a lot of the people that listen to your podcast are probably in the process of planning their own wedding, and
Mm-hmm.
one small piece of advice is definitely setting up a WhatsApp group for the wedding ahead of
Mm-hmm.
time is really cool, because it's not just for, some people are gonna, if you're not doing the on-site thing, a lot of people might be looking for extra pull-out couches and Airbnbs, or like we said, car rentals, or carpools, um, or just keeping in contact with each other in a way that doesn't need to go through you as a bottleneck when you're going to be the busiest you've ever been in your life. It was
Yeah.
really like the Thursday before, we were already there with our families and stuff, but there were just people that hadn't met each other that arrived in Seattle that day that were like, "Oh, do you guys want to meet at this bar? Like, let's hang out and stuff like that." So it was all around a huge success to have a WhatsApp group, and pretty simple to do.
That is a brilliant idea. I love that. And I think just from hearing you guys speak, it's like community and cost were like big factors for you guys that you wanted to ensure were incorporated into your wedding, where you could offer different price points for all of your guests. And you could also offer community to them because it was, like you said, a lot of people coming in from out of town, and it's cool for you guys too to just see those people from different parts of your life connecting and being like, oh my gosh, my aunt is picking up my friend at the airport. Like, how cool is that? They've never met and now they know each other. And like, I think that's awesome. And you're right, kind of putting all of those like logistical things back into your friends group for them to all figure out together rather than you trying to coordinate everybody else's travel itineraries. That's exhausting for you guys. And like you said, you're already planning your wedding and like a wedding weekend essentially, or however many days that everybody is staying on the property. It's like you guys are not only getting married, but you're also entertaining. And so taking on both of those roles is really a lot. And you guys really did it in a smart way that hopefully people listening to this will take away and do for their own weddings too. So I think that's really cool that you guys were so thoughtful about that.
You know, one thing, and I don't want to get like too far off topic from your questions here, but
Yeah.
one that, you know, related to that is we tried really hard to make sure that we were as completely done with all of the details planning as we could be. A full 2 weeks, that was the goal, but like a full week
Yeah.
which we largely were. And the reason that paid off, which I didn't even think about or expect, is if you have people coming from out of town, like your friends and family, a lot of your family is not going to arrive on Saturday morning. They're going to arrive like on Wednesday, you know, make a trip out of it and everything. And a lot of your friends might be coming in Thursday. And even if you don't have anything formally organized, we just had so many like, friends and family coming through town the week before the wedding. And it was really, really great to be able to just chill with them and hang out. And we would not have been able to do that if we were still doing like last minute planning. And so, yeah, I'm so glad that like I could just go over to my aunt and uncle's Airbnb on Thursday night because I knew they live on the East Coast. I haven't seen them in forever. And I knew that on my actual wedding day, if I was lucky, I'd get like 5 minutes of FaceTime with them. So it was really nice to be able to just go and hang out with them because they were in town early. So underrated benefit to like getting your planning done early is just to enjoy having all of your friends and family in town.
Yeah, I think that's so important too, to kind of put a deadline on your wedding plans. And yeah, maybe it'll spill over into a few days after that or whatever, but like being very particular about that, I think is super important. And I love that you guys really made sure you carved out the time to be with those people, those loved ones who were flying in from far away to be there for you guys and to make it very worthwhile and like meaningful for them and for you to really take the time to spend time with them because you know like a wedding day is such a whirlwind and like you said you may just get like not even 5 minutes to talk to these people. And so yeah, I think that's really smart on you guys' part on how you did that. That's so cool. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into your welcome party. So this was so fun to just watch your reels that you've done on this. It was a whole camping theme. You guys just really went for it. Tell us about like Charlotte, like the crafting process that you did and the different details that you made sure were included in your welcome party.
Definitely. Well, my mom deserves a major portion of the credit for how great the decorations were. She basically made making signs for the wedding her full-time job for 3 months before the wedding. So we were constantly texting and she was sending me pictures and I spent a couple weekends with her making everything. But the idea was that we wanted it to feel like arriving at summer camp and we really wanted to set a vibe that would get everyone really excited. And we also wanted to set up arrivals in a way where we got to talk one-on-one with pretty much everyone as they were arriving. So that way we would have a lower chance of missing anyone and not actually speaking to anyone during the wedding. And that worked really well. So what we did is we did as much setup as possible as soon as we got access to the venue. And we did our rehearsal and then we had a little break and then started having on-site guests arrive. So people would arrive and we had a welcome table and a check-in process so that they could get their suite number and learn where they were going to sleep. And we greeted everybody with ice pops, and we had alcoholic ones and non-alcoholic ones. Alcoholic ones went very quickly. People were very excited about them.
Yeah.
Like multiple stores to find them. It was a whole mission for the wedding. And we also had two friends who were the camp counselors. And
I love that.
We were in charge of check-in, but also in charge of like hyping everyone up and making it really fun. And the wedding favor that we made was a bandana that I designed, and we printed it on 2 different colors. And so people, when they checked in, got to choose which team they were on. And the camp counselors were each on a different team, so they were also using that as a banter point. And it was really fun because then it was an immediate touch point for conversation, like, oh, we're both on the green team, or oh, you're on the gold team, so we're not going to be friends. And it made it just much easier for people to start conversations. We also had a station right next to the welcome table where people could make their lanyard, which was just their name tag, and those were also green and gold, so you could theme it with your bandana. And that really helped because it helped people remember names. And then we also had a scavenger hunt game that we made where you had to go around and ask people questions, and if you found someone who matched the question, then they would sign it. So it would be questions like, find someone who's related to Tom, or find someone who's been married for 30 years. Things like that, where you really have to ask people and you have to try to meet as many people as possible. And our prize was that the first 2 people who fully completed the scavenger hunt, their tables would go first for the buffet at dinner the next day.
Oh, that's a good prize.
It was a prize that people were excited about. And I was worried that people were going to find the scavenger hunt a little bit too hokey, but people actually really loved it. And it worked really well to keep everyone there hanging out and having fun and talking to each other.
I think that's so cool because that like makes people get out of their comfort zone a little bit and meet people who they maybe normally might not meet, because sometimes in these situations people kind of stick to the familiar people they know, and so I think that's really cool. You guys truly made an effort to make community at your welcome party. So then your wedding was at the next day?
Well, actually, this was all just the pre-welcome party. So this
oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
That was just the check-in, and what we expected for people to like come check in, sort of that would set the vibe, let them know what type of weekend it's supposed to be and stuff. And then they would like go off to their cabin and get ready and come back for the welcome party. But instead, everyone just like all like 80 people that got there just stood around at the welcome table talking to each other, and it turned into its own party,
which was great.
Yeah, so much fun.
That's so cool.
We had the big sign that my mom made that said "Welcome to our wedding," themed like it was a national park, and it even had the national park logo with 2 little bison that were kissing in it. It was very
That's cute. So cute. The details, I can't get enough.
And then we also made a kiosk that looked like the type of trailhead kiosk that you would have at a hiking trail, and it had posters up that I had designed with all the information about the venue and the weather report, and it also had all of the welcome packets that had the schedule and information about the venue, so people could grab those. And there was also a board where they could leave notes, so if someone was arriving after them, they could leave a note for that person, because the venue didn't have cell service, which was really awesome in a lot of ways. It did make people talk to each other more, but also made it a little bit more difficult for coordinating logistics when we were trying to communicate with everyone. So we also had walkie-talkies. And so that was the pre-welcome party. Wow. So after that, we moved everyone from the lodge area down to the meadow, which was maybe 500 feet. and we had a catered taco buffet. So we had a local taqueria
Yum.
come in, and we also had a bunch of drinks that we put out in a canoe filled with ice. So it was very cute, but
So
also
cute.
and we had a hand washing station that my mom made so people could wash their hands before after eating, because it was a little bit far from the lodge to use the sinks there.
Wow.
And people got tacos and kept hanging out. And then we transitioned into speeches. We did half the speeches on Friday and
That's
gave
smart.
a little bit of a feature for what was coming the next day, all the activities that we would have. So we had yoga in a yurt, and we had
Wow.
ultimate frisbee and a trail run and a nature walk and history tour. And so we wanted to give people a preview so they knew that those were coming, and all of those were optional. People could choose what they wanted to do. And then as soon as speeches were over, we transitioned into a giant game of capture the flag. And that's
so fun.
colors of bandanas. So there were two teams, and you could tell who was on which team based on their bandanas. And that was super fun. We played 2 rounds, and people were really into it. And it was definitely exactly how I remember it, where half of the game is debating over what the rules are and when there can be a jailbreak.
Exactly right.
No one totally remembered the rules, even the people that we put in charge of, or my sister. It did not matter at all. Like, everyone was just excited to be like running around and making up chants for their team and pretending to take it way too seriously. And so, like, the details didn't matter too much there.
Yeah, the camp counselors pre-prepared chants so that each team would have to sing before we went into the game, and it was very fun. And then when
so good.
we were all playing capture the flag, we had our helpers setting up a s'mores bar. So we had lots of different flavors of marshmallows and different types of chocolate, and we had these little tabletop like flame candles that people could roast marshmallows on. And then we also had a campfire, so people were making s'mores and tasting all the different marshmallow flavors. We had like bourbon and fireball and lavender, and
these are flavors of marshmallows, by the way. She's not.
No way. That's incredible. Is there like a marshmallow connoisseur you hired for this, or like where did you find these?
Chloe, my mom,
No way. That's so cool.
all of the flavored marshmallow options and determine which ones were the best. She was very diligent about it, and she did a great job. And then we transitioned to just hanging out around the bonfire, and so people were out there until around midnight. And then we tried to encourage people to go to bed so that they'd have energy for the next night. So that was our full welcome party.
Wow, that is so fun. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So let's move on to your wedding. So then that was the next day after your welcome party then?
Yeah.
Because you wanted everyone to go to bed early.
Yeah, so we wanted everyone to go to bed early. The next day, our dads cooked breakfast for everyone in the lodge. So we had like eggs,
love that.
Cereal and milk and classic breakfast fare. And we had activities like yoga and a trail run, and also
nature hike.
The nature hike that my parents led, and then you led ultimate frisbee. And also people could just like wander around the venue, and we also had a craft table where people were decorating flags. So my mom and Tom's mom spent weeks before the wedding making all of these beautiful flags that were strung up on string, and we hung all around the area where we were eating on Friday, and then all around the venue on Saturday. And my mom, unbeknownst to me, had put a note in all of the wedding invitations asking people if they wanted to decorate a flag before the wedding. And so some people brought like gorgeous quilted ones and felted flags. Beautiful. But there was also a table where you could decorate one that day as well. And so people were decorating those, and then our moms were sewing them into strings and then hanging them up outside in the area where we were having our cocktail hour. And so all of that was going on we also had lunch where people could make sandwiches. And then we started getting ready for the actual ceremony, which was not camp themed. The actual ceremony was much more traditional. The vibe we were going for was like enchanted forest. So we had a lot of
Yeah,
flowers.
gorgeous.
It was in an amphitheater in the forest. And so everyone walked up this trail to get there. To launch the ceremony, we had Alphorn players come to play at the lodge.
Oh my
Alphorn is
gosh.
really long horn. It's like 8 feet long. And
Wow.
Leavenworth, the town that I grew up in, is Bavarian themed. And so there's an Alphorn group.
Whoa. No
And so they
way.
played for everyone. And that was kind of the sign to gather at the lodge because the ceremony was going to start soon. And then everyone walked up the trail to the amphitheater. And my aunt, who is a professional oboe player, she has her doctorate in oboe, she was playing and sat down. And while that was all happening, we were doing photos. We did our family photos and our wedding party photos ahead of the ceremony. And then we went up for the ceremony, and my friend, who's a singer-songwriter, played as we walked down the aisle. And then we had a ring warming ceremony where we passed the rings around to everyone in the audience. And they infused their good wishes into it. And Tom's mom made the pillow for the ring warming out of his ancestors' linens that she like bleached and sewed into the pillow.
No way.
My grandpa did a really beautiful reading. And then we said our vows. One of our favorite things about the whole wedding weekend was that we spent a moment on Friday before everything started and just read each other our vows and kind of made sure that they matched.
Cool.
We also got to feel the emotions ahead of time, so it was less likely that we would cry when we were actually and so we kind of knew it was coming, but then Tom made his way funnier. And they were like, people kept coming up to us and saying, "Oh my God, Tom's vows were so good."
And you're like, what about mine?
If I was warned, but it was very sweet. And then we had a flower toss, and our guests headed back to the lodge for cocktail hour, and we headed the other way deeper into the forest to sign our actual wedding papers. And we'd had our caterers prepare a picnic basket of the hors d'oeuvres that were going to be served at cocktail hour so that we could eat and have a little private moment in the woods before we went back for the rest of the wedding.
Oh my gosh. That is so cool. Like all the it's like minute by minute details that you guys thought of. And for your moms who are both crafty as well, for them to just like have that whole surprise for you, to be sewing on site, like, and helping you guys put this all together, and then to have like all the music coming together for this whole ceremony is very meaningful. And especially with, what did you call it? The ring, where you pass the ring to all of your guests. Yeah, that is so meaningful. And for you guys to have that time after your wedding, just the two of you, I think is so important to soak it all in, because I'm sure you're just with everybody the whole weekend, and it might get a little overwhelming, especially if you're an introvert. And so, you know, to just have that special moment, I think is really cool. So take us into your reception. What happened after your ceremony?
Yeah, so the reception started with a cocktail hour that was on the deck of the lodge, and we'd also hung flowers from the lights above the deck so that it felt very magical. Speaking of the whole family being involved and being very DIY, Tom's aunt did all of our flowers, and the flowers were grown in a local flower farm that's owned by my childhood friend's mom, and so they were very local and meaningful all the way from seed to being at the wedding. And then our moms also made us a quilt that they shipped back and forth so that they could make it together, and that was on display. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it looks like a forest. It's a whole bunch of trees together in the quilt.
We're really lucky our families were so excited for us to be married. I mean, my parents really like Charlotte, and I think your parents
Mhm.
like me.
Definitely.
Which
Yeah.
really helped because everyone was like so proactive about just like going above and beyond and helping us not just execute the wedding in the way that we wanted to, but like make it even more special and do stuff like I barely knew about the quilt until I don't think it was supposed to be a surprise necessarily. It
I knew
was
about the quilt. I was getting lost in the quilt,
oh,
but
right.
not your
Yeah.
dad.
Hmm.
And Tom
Yeah.
also was extremely involved throughout the whole wedding process. Like I know a lot of grooms
Amazing.
are not, but Tom was an equal partner. We just had different areas of specialty. So the quilt and the
Mm.
flowers were firmly in my department.
I was sort of
Mm.
the basic logistics, like making sure that all of the operational stuff went off correctly, making sure that like it was all coordinated well and all of our checks were written for the caterers and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
And just, the general event logistics. And Charlotte was way more proactive in the making it all cute and special and stuff. So it was really good to fix
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
Both
then
are important jobs. It's like the operations team and the creative team coming together to make it all happen.
definitely. So this was the point in the wedding where things went a little wrong because it started
Ah.
raining. So we felt the
Oh.
first drops when we were eating our picnic basket, and we had known that there was a potential of rain in the forecast. It had been like a 50% chance of rain for like an hour or two. That was right over when our reception was supposed to be. And then that morning, it was looking like it wasn't going to rain, and so we moved forward with everything being outside. And then it started raining during the cocktail hour. So we started by just having everyone move from the porch to inside the lodge. And we thought it would pass because that's what the weather report had said originally. And it did not pass. And so
Oh.
also where our families and our friends being so helpful comes into play because they immediately jumped into action and packed up everything that was already fully set up in the lawn with all of the tables and all the flowers and centerpieces. And since we'd known that there was a chance of rain, I'd ordered linens for rectangular tables in addition to square tables. We were planning to
Wow.
use the rectangles if we had to have it inside, but hoping to use the round tables if we could do it outside. And so our friends and family set up all the round tables in the lodge, put out the new
Rectangle.
linens. Sorry, set up the rectangle tables in the put on the linens, brought in all the flowers, like made it happen to move all of the chairs inside. And the lodge was relatively small, so there wasn't another place for everyone to be that was on the same level. And so what we decided to do is we moved everyone upstairs to this conference room that we had been using as like our staging area to set out decor. And we moved all of that into a different room, and we turned room B the speeches room. And so we had everyone go upstairs and do 2 speeches, and then go downstairs, and dinner was ready and all the tables were set up, and then go back upstairs again to take down all the tables, and the band, which was supposed to play on the porch, they moved inside during that 15 minutes when we were upstairs doing speeches, which was incredible
Wow.
and fully set up. And then we did our first dance and mother, son, father, daughter dances. And the band did like half the set that they were planning on because we had to shift everything back and shift everything around. And
Wow.
all of that happened very quickly and surprisingly smoothly because everyone was just really willing to go with it.
Yeah, wow. You guys really did that all on the fly. And to have such a helpful team of friends and family to help just like do all the logistics for you on a last minute decision like that is like truly remarkable. And for everything to just kind of like keep flowing and to keep happening. Like you had the speeches room and then you move over into this room, and to just like kind of decide that on the fly is like really impressive. So way to go. And I'm sure it's, might not have been like how you had dreamt it being outside and everything, but I'm sure it's just like memories were made, and it just more reinforces the fact that like how much your family and friends are there for you to support your marriage and everything. So I think that's so cool.
Definitely.
Um, yeah. Do you have any like last words of advice or anything for couples who are going through it? I know we kind of mentioned before, like, having that WhatsApp where you're connecting everybody, but like, and maybe speaking to like having a rain plan or doing things on the fly, like any last words?
Yeah, definitely start planning early and book venues
Mm-hmm.
early. You'll have way more options, and finish your planning as early as possible. That really helped us a lot in being able to enjoy the wedding, and there will be so many things that come up at the last minute. You don't want to be planning that you're going to be spending the 3 days before the wedding doing important logistics. There were some
Mm-hmm.
crafts that we were doing at the last minute that worked out fine because everything else was done. Like I made the lavender syrup the day before for our cocktail,
Wow.
and that was fine because I had all my friends there and they helped me and we didn't have to do anything else. But if I had also been having to do planning, that would have been really difficult. And
Right.
then to finish the night, we then did our log saw, which is
Oh,
a
yeah. I wanted you to talk about that. Okay, yeah.
where you have a log and a crosscut saw, and your first act as a married couple is to demonstrate that you can work well together by sawing a log. And our intent had been to do that between cocktail hour and dinner, but we couldn't because of the rain. But the rain stopped after the band finished, and so we were able to go out on the porch and do our log saw, and it was actually more fun because people were already a little bit drunk. And happening in the middle of the log saw, and we did ours first, and we had practiced, so it went really well. And then we let some friends do it, and both of our parents did it, and it was just
No
really, really
way.
fun. And if you're interested and if it fits with your wedding theme, I highly recommend log saws. And then we finished out the night with a dance floor, and Tom's friend DJ'd, and then Tom also DJ'd. And that was super fun. And it was really nice to be able to still have all of those elements come together pretty similarly to how we had planned because the rain had stopped and because it was fine to have those inside. And then I would also say plan everything, but be prepared for things to go wrong. They just will.
Yeah, they
Something
will.
will.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you are too caught up in the moment of being upset about something not going how you planned, it'll be much more difficult to enjoy what does happen. And so even if things are going off the rails, the best thing you can do as one of the people getting married is to just be happy with what is happening and
Mm-hmm.
have
Yeah.
a team around you, whether it's your friends or your family, or if you hire a day of coordinator who can deal with actually fixing the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And having
Yeah.
that support is really important.
Yeah, for sure. I think so too. And yeah, you're right. Just focusing on the marriage. Like, it's not about whether or not guests could be outside or inside. Like, that's not the purpose of your wedding. The purpose of your wedding is for you guys being together for forever and having your friends and family there to celebrate you. I think that's so awesome. I mean, you are like Martha Stewart to the extreme. I love this. It's so awesome that you just like DIY'd everything. You're like the queen of a DIY wedding. I love it. All right, one last thing. I would love for you guys to talk about, you have an apparel line, right? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we make pants and shorts, and leggings and overalls are coming soon that have
Oh, fun.
pictures so that everyone can go to the bathroom outside without removing clothing. And so I grew up hiking and mountaineering, very outdoorsy, lots of summer camp. And for women, it's really difficult to go to the bathroom outside. You have to completely expose yourself, and guys don't have to do that. And so we
Mhm.
started this company in our college dorm rooms in order to solve the problem and make it much easier for everybody to have fun and be comfortable when you're spending time outside.
I love that. It's
Yeah, and
brilliant.
It's called Nara Apparel.
GNARA.
Nara,
I'm in
yes.
Valley, and we've got the pants and shorts available now, and the overalls and the leggings are going to be in stock pretty soon, but you can pre-order them.
Oh, cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. So for you guys listening, definitely follow Nara Apparel and check them out. And then I'll also repost your viral videos and everything from Instagram just so people can see all the beauty that was your camp themed wedding and welcome party. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to chat today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
I
All
have one
right.
last suggestion.
Yeah, yes.
One of the best things we did, I think, is that we had a breakfast on Sunday morning and we collected all the
Oh,
flowers and we
oh
let
my
people make their own
gosh.
bouquets to take home. And so that way
Love
we
that.
to not be overwhelmed with flowers and throw them away, and it was a lot easier
Yeah.
finding a place to donate them. And then it was really fun to like visit our friends' houses over the next week and see that everyone had their
Oh.
flowers from our wedding on display. So I highly recommend doing that if it's possible with the timing of your events.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And something special that you guys did was also a focus on sustainability, which I think is really important. And more couples are looking to kind of incorporate that into their weddings now. And so, yeah, and flowers bring everyone joy. And so to just like bring a little piece of joy home from your wedding and for every time they look at their flowers to really think of that day that they had with you guys, I think is really special too. And yeah, all of your little touches were so meaningful. It wasn't just like, hey, let's do this big crafty thing and whatever. It was like all your details had meaning behind it. And I think that's really special. So, yeah. Thank you guys. This was so cool. I'm so glad that we got to chat. So, have a good one.
You too.
Thanks.
All right. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Wedding Reporter podcast. I hope you learned a little bit and had fun today. To find more resources and podcast episodes, visit NashvilleBrideGuide.com for more information. And as always, click the subscribe button and leave us a review. Until next time, I'm Alyssa DeChico, signing off.